Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Nani Network. We are your hosts, Eli and Shay, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about two pretty popular anime, right? So we have God of High School, who is a newer kid on the block, and we have Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone's been out for about a year now, and season 2 is about to come up. So we figured that we'd tackle this before we got into season 2.
Right.
So today we're going to kick things off with God of High School. So the premise for God of High School is that there's this mysterious organization that sends out invitations for a tournament to every skilled fighter in the world who is in high school. So the promise that's made is that if you can win, you can have anything you want. That's the claim. So they're recruiting the best of the best to claim the title of the God of High School.
Whoa.
As always, we're going to kick you off with the 3 things you need to know about God of High School. It is a shorter anime, so...
Right, it's a 1 season, baby. It's new. But the first thing you need to know about this anime is the God of High School tournament itself. This is the tournament that basically carries our characters throughout a good chunk of the series. Well, to be honest, all of the series, but it takes a spin. But as she said, it's a tournament hosted by this mysterious organization based out of Korea, where they invite people from all over the world to... duke it out. And basically they take the top 3 representatives from each region, each place in the world, and then they host a national tournament. So of course, animes love groups of 3. They love a solid group of 3. So that's where you meet our protagonist, Jin Mori, and he meets his 2 friends who just so happen to be the most powerful people in his region, who are Daoi and Mira.
Yep.
And they end up winning their little portion of the God of High School tournament and advancing to the nationals. And that's where things kind of take a spin. But it's super important to highlight that this God of High School tournament is the base of the show, because it's fucking called the God of High School. And we eventually realized, like a little bit towards the end, that the true purpose of this tournament was to seek out these keys. What the fuck no, not these keys, this key.
Singular. It's only
singular. There was a key out there, and basically they were continuously hosting this tournament in search of this key, which unlocks access to some sort of god-like power.
Here go anime again. They always, like, when they looking for something, they have to find the most convoluted way to like go about finding that shit. And I'm like, I'm sure you couldn't just post a flyer and it's like missing key.
And so, to be honest, you have to be a god now. You can't be anything below a god in these animes. It's like, you know what? You need to take it there. You can't just be a super strong human. You can't just be a fucking alien anymore. You need to be a god.
I just told you who I thought I was. A god.
I'm a god. Just like I said.
So the next thing that you need to know about God of High School is the Chariok. Please forgive me if I butchered that, but I watched this dub and they skate over the name. I mean sub. I watched it sub and they definitely skate over the name. So the Chariok is like the power source of this anime. So the literal translation is borrowing strength from a god. So what the show's cast does is that they sign like kind of like a contract with these supernatural entities in which they are able to borrow their power. Mm-hmm. So if you watch God of High School, you can see this manifested in the form of like entities surround. Ooh, you know what it really looks like? It looks like Yu-Gi-Oh!
The light from my dragon erases the shadows. Let's go, Blue Eyes.
Yeah, like when they would summon the freaking, then they actually summon the cards out.
Yeah,
it's like, what the fuck? It's really cool.
It's so dope, and the these entities, they take shape and form, and the person has the contract with them can physically interact. Well, they can physically interact with people who's not contract to and beat your ass.
Exactly.
But they can physically interact. Like we've seen like them be used as a shield. We've seen one person had like a dragon and he was flying on the dragon. What I thought was really dope was the scene where I think his name was like Commissioner O or P. When he has the Joker as his contract thingy, and so the Joker comes out with a scythe, and P can use the scythe, but the Joker can also use the scythe.
Right.
So they're like throwing it back and forth. Boop, boop, boop. You don't know who's about to attack you. I thought that, and then like the Joker would disappear and then he would come back up. So everyone's Chariot manifests differently. So we've seen Daoi, who's one of Jin's friends. He has like a healing Chariot, which is like
pretty trash.
Yeah. I feel like they're gonna give him more. Like that can't be it for Dowie. Like he's gonna get something else.
It can't be.
It's not gonna be it for him.
My goodness.
They can't give Mira a fucking steed and a black knight
Yo.
and give Dowie a fucking bucket of water.
Because that for me was my big what the fuck with these Chariot moments. Because when she activated hers, it was of course in the ring and she was getting her ass clapped. But like when they showed, because we had just learned about it, you know, like I feel like the episode before we had just really got in depth as to what these things are. Because me and Shay kind of complained about that a little bit in the beginning. Like, all right, you know, we're seeing people using powers here, but we don't know what the fuck is going on.
One of the things we talked about was it aura?
Right, yeah, it's like, can only certain people see this once they're like of a certain power level? Like, what is going on? So when we just learned about it and we're like, okay, and they're like, oh, well, now we want one.
Daddy, I want a squirrel. Get me one of those squirrels. I want one.
And, you know, it either comes about in times of strife or it comes about through rigorous training, and even then not guaranteed.
Can we talk about how fucking convoluted the explanation was that Park gave to Dowie? Because he was like, okay, I think Dowie asked, oh, can anybody get one? And Park was like, some people train all their lives and never get one. And then he said, and some people just get it instantly. He said, so, Nigga, that's not what I wanted to know.
All my friends have it, but I don't. Shit, you don't even know about it? Like,
just say you don't know, nigga. Not telling me some people get it, some people don't. Like
maybe. It was tragic, but Chariot is actually really cool. I really like what they did with this power set, and I feel like it's kind of endless because it's these people. It looks like they're almost like legends too, like legends. Like, well, gods are legends, you know, like these stories. Because hers was, as you said, a knight on a steed. I feel like he just went down as a legend, and that's why he has like these godlike in the afterlife.
It may have actually been a deity, but I don't think they gave it a name, but I can't remember what it was. But remember the other fighter who used Thor's hammer?
Right, exactly. Yeah. But then that other dude had like a squid, and then the other one had a shark, and I was just like,
yeah.
So, you know, I don't know, but it's really, really cool. And I feel like taking this route, it leaves the opportunities kind of endless because there's so many gods, so many legends that you can take and manifest their powers. Because not only can you manifest whatever appendages or whatever attributes come with that, but it actually goes with your fighting style.
Yes.
You know, because we saw that a lot in Mira, like her sword, well, she finally got use of it. She, you know, her moves, she was doing her regular, moon style?
Yes.
But it was enhanced way more because of the type of god that she formed this contract with, or the person who chose her. And it's just really cool. I'm excited to see more from this power set.
It also makes the animation just like, wow. Like, like God of High School has some A1 fight scenes. Like, if nothing else, their animation was crazy good. It
was really good.
It was so
for the fights, at least, definitely.
The show, it reminded me of like the kind of animation that they usually reserve for the movies. Right. It's like crisper and cleaner, and like they want you to see every rock breaking apart. Right. So like it really gave me like movie vibes, like where everything is all shiny and like Steven Spielberg directed it. That's what God of High School gave me.
It was good shit. I enjoyed it. But third thing you need to know about this anime are the big bads who are in the shadows. Because we didn't meet these motherfuckers until maybe the last quarter of the anime. We didn't hear about them till the last quarter. We didn't meet them till the last couple. And they are an organization that goes by the name Nox. So these guys have operated throughout the ages, collecting these energies from the gods to extend their own lives. But now that the world leaders have started expressing interest and research in the use of the Chariot, they have now taken to killing any Chariot user and absorbing their energy.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
And ultimately, they're like, you know, they're dickheads, but they are like the Akatsuki. Like, you know, they're literally going around hunting people and sucking out basically what they need from them. And it's because they only believe in one god. And their goals basically are to prolong their lives and basically monopolize the use of these chariots and gain ownership over all of them. And they're just pretty fucking insanely powerful. Like, they are like what one would call the Illuminati, you know, like the organization that has been around for mad long, deep pockets, deep knowledge, you know, because they like they said, the world leaders are just now acknowledging Cheriak. Like they have this young guy Park as like one of their most powerful people, you know, so I don't think there's that many, you know. Maury's grandfather is retired, you know, I don't think it's out there like these motherfuckers have the knowledge, and it kind of really showed the way they just knew what to do. They were clapping, even though we were able to.
The Nox?
The Nox were clapping, but it was only because, like, even when they were facing the guy with the sight, they almost like took him out. But it's only they did almost take him out.
Did they? I thought he did pretty well on his own. Like,
I felt like if they kept going before that girl showed up, like
I mean, because at that
take him
point
out.
it was gonna be like him against 3 of them, but for like he was doing, I think he was doing fine, and then, like, the support was obviously good because you're bleeding out.
Well, I was saying what I think.
Okay.
I think he was about to get clapped if he didn't have help show up. But he did ultimately win that bout with the help of his little pal. But that's to say the Nox put up a really good fight as the big bad when it came about. You know, because they're the ones who ended up going head to head with Jin Mori and leading him to activate his... Is it a Cheriak?
What,
he doesn't know.
Headband?
His headband and staff, basically, because he doesn't know what it is, and his was never acknowledged.
I think the staff is the Cheriak, but the headband, I don't know.
It changed because he had what. I don't know if it's exactly a Cheriak, but, you know, like, they're the ones who pushed it to, like, this next godlike level. Because, you know, he did go against, what's it, his Park Ilyu? I forgot his name. Ilyu.
Oh.
But he went against him, and I thought that was, like, going to be the big major battle. But then he turned out to be, like, not even a villain.
He was that friend.
He was just in the competition, to be honest. So...
And they showed him having beef with, like, the blue-haired guy. Like, when they introduced him, he just kind of seemed kind of neutral. Like,
yeah, I had no idea, like, that he was going to become anybody, but that's that with that. But that's why Nox is important to recognize.
So next we're going to roll into our What the Fuck anime segment. So, I'll go first. God of High School, again, bang up action. Really bang up. But I have some questions. Question number 1 would be injuries. Like, this show made it really difficult for me to gauge, like, how strong someone was and also how injured someone was. Mm-hmm. Just because, like, the way they bounced back from things that I felt like should have been game over, or at least been, like, debilitating enough that you shouldn't just be prancing about already. So one example of that was when, I forget his name, but the guy with the blue hair and the red pants. Yeah,
he used a shark.
Yes, he used like a shark. Yes. He was fighting a guy and he had his Cheriak eat him. Essentially, like, it was a shark. It was like the image of a shark, and it did things that a shark would do. And he was impaled first by a tooth. And then they had, like, you just saw the shark going ham on this guy's upper body. Like, you saw his legs twitching, and then you saw it was a pool, okay? It wasn't drip blood. You saw the blood pooling out of his body and gathering on the floor. Yeah. Right? And then someone interrupted the fight, and, you know, he and that person have words, and then the guy who's just getting ate by the shark, you see him get up. And he's not, like, mangled. Like, he still has the hole in his gut from where he was impaled, but he's not nearly as mangled. First of all, you shouldn't even be up.
As he should be.
But he wasn't as mangled as he should be. He was still, like, he had all his limbs. He was conscious, and he was still trying to fight. And I'm just like, okay, like, it made it a little challenging for me to gauge, like, how physical the Cheriaks were being with these people. Right. But I'm like, in seeing the blood pooling from his body...
My son should have been dead.
He should have been dead. He should have been dead. And they had the audacity to be able to take him to the ICU. Yeah. Like, get out. And that was not the only time they did that. There was, like, at the end too, where the same Aggie nigga, like, tried to attack Mori, and then Dowie jumped in the way of, like, a spear.
Oh yeah.
And Dowie's over here making shit look mad cryptic. He's like, run.
Stop.
But then and then him and Mira are looking at him like they're giving him
they only went his back a little
giving him the "you okay, friend?" look. And then not 2 seconds later, the camera flashes back to Dowie, and this man is fully standing, like with a smile on his face. I'm like, first of all, Dowie, we're still fighting, and you look okay.
Dowie took bigger blows than that to me, though.
Absolutely did. So
Dowie has gotten fucked up.
So I'm just like, why did you even need to jump in front of that for them? Like, they should have been okay if that hit them too.
Oh no.
Like, it was just, I said, okay, y'all. Okay. So mine. Oh, did you could jump in?
I'm sorry, I am not done.
Ow, go ahead.
Well, my what the fuck anime is. No, mine for me, it's like something that I have qualms with in animes in general is the character development. For me, what it started out with when they were focusing on just a tournament arc, that first little portion, the theme song and everything that we met, it kind of led us to believe that we were going to be meeting a lot more characters and getting to know them. Like, you put them in the fucking theme song, you know? Like, we left the show not knowing anything about a few people. And there was one in particular who I think I locked in as my, well, in my heart, locked in as my character that I wanted to know more about was Mai, she had like this wrestling style when she was fighting, and it was really similar to King. If you ever play Tekken, there's a guy who fights exactly like her on Tekken, and it was like super dope to see that style, and I would have liked to see that fucking reflected more. I would have liked to see what Chariok she would have gotten when they gotten further with that. Maybe the guy who had all that knowledge about fighting and was using the bat, like what was his Chariok would be. I feel like we had some really interesting characters to begin with, and more than just the main three, because you know it's not unheard of for them to have more than just a fucking main three, but I get it's a tournament, not everybody gonna win.
Yeah,
but I would have liked that they would have incorporated them in some other way, like in My Hero Academia when they have like you lost the tournament, but go on the side, we'll have fun games for you to showcase your abilities too. You know, that's what I would like to see. Just keep them in the arena long enough for me to see what the fuck they could do.
You're right. They did squander like the potential of like a couple of characters where it's just like, dang, like, why even give these motherfuckers backstories?
Yeah. In the first episode, they like zoned in on like 4 people, and then they got to the main 3.
Gave you their stats, gave you their breakdown, their fighting style, like everything.
Only for the characters to beat their ass the next episode, and then it's like they're all out. Cut them. So it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, only because I was interested. You know, sometimes it's necessary, but I didn't think so with these guys. They were pretty cool.
So my next what the fuck anime is Old Niggas in High School. So the name of the show is God of High School. The tournament is called the God of High School. High school being the key word here. In particular, there was one man who they gave us his age. He was 38 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know what the schooling system is like in Japan, but I think it is frowned upon in any civilized country to have a middle-aged man going into a school with a bunch of children. And then they do what animes do and gave him like a cute little backstory and was like, you know, well, my Nindo is never giving up, or whatever the fuck these people say, right?
So
like that's literally
anime like that.
That's literally what he said. He said that I never give up or whatever the fuck. Okay, you could have got
too late to
you
learn.
could have got a GED. First of all, it's not even about his choices. It's about the system that allowed you to go to school with a bunch of kids. And then I will
say, I went away to school and they literally had an old people dorm.
But that's college where everyone's over the age of 18.
I'm 18!
They have
my birthday was yesterday. I'm 18, pop.
With a bunch of 14-year-old girls. And then you see exactly what like you would try to avoid, where you got this one young bitch obviously getting the wet for him. Guess what? They end up fighting on the same team. And you can see that she is smitten like a kitten over this man. She is on the sidelines like, I know he won't lose. Okay, bitch. Okay.
And my last what the fuck anime is just a general thing about the animation right here is just they all look fucking sunburned. I don't like all their major sunspots are like beaming red. I'm like, yo, well, sunscreen's important. Rihanna said so. So Shut up. Maybe you should get on that because like it's the nose, it's the shoulders, like
elbows, knees, and toes,
the inside of their palms. Nah, it's just like, yo, what's with all this red? Like, y'all, it looks like somebody like beat you and threw you on your defensive wound dropped on your elbow. Like, I don't get it. But that's just my last what the fuck. What's with the skin, baby? Next, we're going to lock that bitch in. I'll go first, Shay. I'll take the wheel on this one. I'm going to go ahead and lock in that the Nox... Well, we had a cliffhanger at the end of this series, which is that Jin Mori's grandfather is in fact alive. And he gave a cryptic message of like, I know you're powerful enough to stand up to everybody, even me, So it hints that potentially there's going to be a fight. He's going to be let loose in some way to fight as a sacrifice against Jin. But what I think is that the organization Nox is after Jin and his power. And I think they're going to use the grandfather, as a way to reel him in and do whatever they plan to do with the grandfather to Jin.
No! God, please, no! No!
So I think he's going to end up being the sacrifice to bring about their god. That's what I'm locking in, because they didn't leave a whole lot of things unturned. They kind of like, in the last 5 minutes, they said, cool, here are all our loose ends. Boom, 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 boom.
Literally, yeah.
They said, yeah, if you didn't see them, we're here. Here they are. This person's back. This person woke up. This person has a chariot. The keys have have disintegrated. He needs to acquire them. And his grandfather's alive. And so I'm like, okay, well, interesting. So I am interested for a season 2, because there's only up for here as far as the power sets go. You know how these shows go. And they're only gonna become more adept at using their chariots. So I want to see. And that's what I'm locking in.
Okay, so for my lock that bitch in, I think what Jin is I think that he's the Monkey King. So the Monkey King is like an urban legend that's pretty well represented in a lot of Asian culture. So he's usually depicted as like a humanoid monkey figure with a staff. And the way that they showed Jin in the show, I'm thinking that that's what he was, mostly because of the staff, and then people keep comparing him to like a monkey in the show, so I think that that's what his chariot is.
That'd be dope, because he's like the one always revered as like one of the most powerful
deities. So I think that that's what that was all about.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty sure lock that bitch in, but that's what it is. Because they didn't expressly say what he was. Like they said it in Japanese.
They expressly asked him what he was. And he was like, I don't know.
Because what is the protagonist if not a chakas?
Like, I never know what I am.
All right, and last but not least, we have our Nani ratings. Okay,
raise the ceiling.
I can take the lead on this one unless you wanted to go first.
No, you got it.
Okay, so
no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
God of High School. This anime, when I first saw the trailers, I was excited about it for months. I thought that it looked so dope.
Word.
When I started watching it, we actually watched like the first 5 episodes like on this release schedule. So like when it came out, we watched it, and then after episode 5, where it was like
don't speak for me.
After episode 5, where it was the first major battle, I took a break. And I waited for the rest of the episodes to come out and then binge the rest. So God of High School had a stark decline for me. The animation for this show was phenomenal. Chef's kiss. It was amazing. They had some of the best animated fight scenes I have ever seen in an anime. Even like more serious anime that have like, dozens of seasons and dozens of episodes, it was up there. Like I would say they had like top 5 anime fight scenes. It was amazing. Everything they gave me in animation and fights, they took away from the plot. This story did not have a followable plot. It didn't make sense. It started to not make sense. So first we got the old niggas in high school, and the niggas that shouldn't even be in high school. Like you got these 5 niggas in the corner with the KKK mask on, and you telling me that they're in high school?
Whoa.
Not yeah, when she fought the big black nigga, you telling me that this man is supposed to be like, y'all not even trying to make it make sense anymore. So that was just one of the things. And then in the end, like I hate when an anime builds me up for something and then acts like it doesn't even matter. So for me, that's what they did with the tournament. And I understand that the tournament was just a facade so that they can find this key. But literally in the middle of the tournament, you have anarchy going on around you. Like it devolved so quickly for me. I really see the plot and the potential of the anime, but I think they tried to do too many things and squeeze it into 13 episodes. And I also think that they squandered their time that they could have used to elaborate on other more important aspects. Like the 38-year-old man who decided to follow his dream and go back to high school. I don't think that he needed 10 minutes of explanation. I think that was wasted time on him that could have been used to discuss far more important things in the plot. Like, hey, what the fuck is the protagonist? Or maybe you were leaving that, like, because I understand, like, you want to leave some things hanging for season 2, but you didn't need to wait till, like Elijah and I were discussing, you didn't need to wait till episode 5. No, not even episode 5, like episode 7 to tell us what the power source of this anime was.
Yeah.
Here you have us sitting around like some dunderheads speculating, oh, is it aura? Like, I can see it. Can they see it? Like, it's doing physical damage. Like, these are things that they could have given more explanation on in the beginning. And I don't even see what the point of making them high school students was when it didn't matter to anything. It didn't contribute to any part of the storyline.
Yeah.
I feel like they squandered the potential of characters that could have been more important. Like, you put a real spotlight on them and then never mention them again. Will they come back in season 2? Maybe. But that was something else that kind of, like, you know, really chafed my ankles. And then last but not least, outside of the fighting, every plot in this anime was not original to me. It was things that I've seen before. Like, I was ranting to Elijah that, like, it seemed like they borrowed something from many anime, which is not, you know, a bad thing to take inspiration, but I'm literally seeing, like, as they're doing things, I'm like, wait, I feel like I've seen that before, like, actually seen the movement before. Like, I've seen inspiration from One Piece, I've seen inspiration from Sailor Moon, I've seen inspiration from Fairy Tail. Like, why would you even want to? Yu Yu Hakusho with the fox spirit, it reminded me of Kurama. It was so many things, and I feel like they just like smushed it all together into this clusterfuck, but didn't implement it correctly. So as much as it pains me to say, because I had such high hopes for this, and I would watch season 2 if it came out, but they really need to work on their storytelling. I think that's like my biggest hang up on it, is that the storytelling was not doing it for me. I found myself losing interest in a fight that was actually pretty good, because it didn't make sense the way that everything was unfolding. So with a heavy heart, I have to give God of High School a 6.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be mad. All that, and I was like, "What is she about to give them?" I had to raise them up to a 6 because the fighting was just, again, it was so amazing. Right.
It was so amazing. But that's it. Like, you got that score solely off of your action.
All right. I agree with some of what Shay said. For me, God of High School, like I said in my What the Fuck anime, I really, really didn't like that they let go of some of the characters, or, like, you know, they basically slashed the cast in half and then introduced kind of new people. So I never really got the opportunity to fall in love with a larger cast, which sometimes I do like to do, because if I'm being completely honest, like, Jin was okay, but he was super, super, super Goku-esque. Like, I'm dumb powerful and I'm not really all that smart. I just really want to fight. I want to fight you because you're powerful, and I want to fight him right after because he seems pretty powerful too.
Vince is hair, now that you mention it.
Yeah, you know, so, like, you know, I wasn't really in love with him, so I would have liked that there was more characters. But yeah. I don't know exactly what to say, because I enjoyed watching every single episode. I just think when they had the episode about Mira getting married, they could have maybe replaced that and dedicated a full episode to maybe like a counselor's meeting, so that we could really understand that this tournament was a facade earlier on, you know, because that episode of her getting married was like episode 2.
When you say counselor, you talking about the commissioners for the fighting?
Yeah, the commissioners, the counselors, like those people for the God of High School tournament. Maybe we could see them discussing on how, hey, we're looking for the keys and, like, you know, this and that, and really give us larger hints to the plot ahead. So I agree with Shanice on, like, the storytelling wasn't the best, but I still enjoyed going for the ride a little bit. But it's when they got to it. When they got to it, it was a really enjoyable ride. And I mostly am in, like, a lot of these shows for the fucking action and for the power set and for the fight scenes. And like I said, I thoroughly enjoy the Chariot. Like, it might be a ripoff from Fairy Tail, but Fairy Tail's doing it wrong. Okay, like, you know, they didn't make the cut. So, you know, when the new one is better than the original, it's like you just don't even count the original no more. But I think I'm gonna have to sit them at, like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna put him at a 6.5.
Nigga, that's not that much higher than mine. You was over here hyping it up, like.
Yeah, well, I wasn't hyping it up. I think I criticized the story. You know, I have my qualms with it, but it definitely wasn't a bad anime by any means. They have some work to do for season 2, and I wouldn't mind. I wonder how far ahead the webtoon is. Like, I've seen certain comments suggest that, like, you know, certain things that we've seen, they've gone through 2 seasons of the webtoon. So I don't know how long, you know, or far ahead this webtoon is to current date from when they decided to do production of the show.
What I will say, because I have skimmed the webtoon, is that it probably is like two seasons of the webtoon in, but they also don't show a lot of what they show in the webtoon. Mm-hmm. So if it's something that you're interested in checking out, I would definitely read it, just because there is like probably things I would have explained, given us more, you know, storyline explanation that was in the webtoon.
Well, I just mean that in terms of like a season 2 coming. Like, is there even content for them? Or are they going to have to do like what they do with all these other shows and try to create their own shit that nobody really wants to see?
Shut up.
But that wraps up God of High School for today. Next up, we're going to be talking to you guys about Dr. Stone. All right, so Dr. Stone takes place several thousand years after a mysterious phenomenon turns all of humanity to stone. Who would have thought? An extraordinarily intelligent and science-driven boy, Senku, awakens facing a world of stone and the total collapse of society. Senku makes up his mind to use science to rebuild the world and make it back to what it once was. Ha 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 ha!
Oh, what a beautiful chocolate man.
No, like, what a nice boy. As usual, we're going to be giving you guys the 3 things you need to know about this anime. Shay, hit him with the first.
All right, so the first thing that you need to know about Dr. Stone is the petrification and this new post-apocalyptic society. So like Elijah mentioned, June 2019, this phenomena happened where it was like this bright green light shone and it flooded the earth, and everyone who came into contact with it was petrified. Mm-hmm. So this petrification turned their bodies into stone with the same consistency as stone. So it's brittle enough that if their bodies were to fall or be like a hammer be taken to it, like they would be kaputs, they would be out of commission. So for humans who were petrified, they were in like a state of like they were conscious, but only certain humans. They needed to have the mental fortitude to keep thinking throughout their petrification. And we also find out that the petrification lasted for about 3,700 years. So you had to continuously keep your brain active. Yes. So like we see the main protagonist Senku, he did that by counting. So he counted from the time he was petrified to the time he awoke. And then we see his best friend Tenju kept thinking about the
love he had for this girl that he wanted to profess for
confessing
this girl.
His love to I forget her name, but
that's fucking hard. Like, I gotta think for 3,700 years, like, consistently, and not give into madness. Like, what? I don't know. Maybe that's a question we can pose to the world. Like, what would you think about for 3,700 years? Like, I don't know.
Like, but the thing is, these two thunderheads, but I mean, I guess Senku did it for a purpose, but this other guy, like, I would, alternate. He only thought about this bitch.
Yo.
That would get so boring so fast, but like,
it's like after 100 years, I think she might be dead, bro. Like,
for people who didn't have the mental fortitude, I think they compared it to like sleep paralysis. Mm-hmm. Where it's like you're like floating in and out. But basically what happens was that their bodies were preserved, and when you become unpetrified, you become unpetrified in the same state that you were in before you were petrified. And also to note, only organic material is petrified, so your clothes would not be petrified with you. Mm-hmm. So after 3,700 years, once people started coming to, your clothes have all disintegrated. Already, and become one with the earth. Mm-hmm. So you butt ass naked.
And also, like, because it's been 3,700 years, society has collapsed. So that's what makes this like a post-apocalyptic anime. Like, the world has reverted back to what it once was. Mm-hmm. Nature has once again reclaimed the world. It ain't the worst thing for Earth, for Mama Earth.
You know what it looked like? It looked like Jurassic Park. Like, the only thing that was missing were like dinosaurs, but you even see like the animals, like now that like animals that are probably broken out of zoos. Oh, not they said like literally. Animals broken out of zoos and like all those wild creatures. They are like it was when man was not here, and they are vicious.
They're vicious. They're hungry.
Like, I'm surprised they didn't have like saber-tooths running around.
Why? Because they're not extinct all of a sudden?
No, I thought that they would have like mutations and like because like them lions that they showed were
huge.
beastly.
Yeah.
Them lions look like they push weight.
Yo, but I think like without man there to hinder animals' evolution anymore, like they took off, and that shit was fucking scary.
Oh my god, it was so scary.
Because you don't even have a building to run into. You don't have anything.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking too. Because like me coming to, the first thing I would think is like, okay, well, where do I live? Like, like I know
where's my block?
Where's my block? But then like it's crazy because everything has literally with no upkeep, with no maintenance. It's not even like The Walking Dead where you can like see where the road, like a road used to be, right? Or like see like, okay, this is a street, or like
it's just
anything.
a little overgrown here.
No, it's straight like wilderness, wildlife. Like these buildings do not exist. They have returned to the earth. There's not even a shell. Like I think like some things are still there, like old statues. Like we saw the statue of a Buddha, and maybe the Statue of Liberty is there, but I can't live in her. I was gonna go to the.
They can't even keep her running now.
I was gonna go to the first luxury apartment building and set up shop, but there goes that plan.
Stop, yo. Next thing you need to know about Dr. Stone is the scientific progress. So as we said in the description, Senku is a extremely talented, I'll say he's a prodigy. He's a prodigy of science. He's really intelligent and he has like an immense understanding of it. So what amazing luck that he's the person to be depetrified first. All right, like where he washed up, he ended up landing underneath like the droppings bat guano. Like basically it was fucking bat shit, and the ammonia and the bat shit combined with various other factors eventually led to his depetrification, and that is now sparks this guy's journey to bring back out society. So he starts lightly, he builds himself a hut, and then he starts to make clothes for himself, and that's all cool, that's well, and then boom, now he's making little utensils, bowls to collect water, bowls to collect bat guano, you know. But then you really start to see him take these things that we've learned in school, like, you know, creating electricity, how it was done, and like, you know, even creating fucking ramen noodles, you know, out of wheat, and creating flour,
like scratch,
and then turning that from scratch, taking the grain, pulling the seeds, beating it, all these things, you know, creating a oven, a furnace that could heat iron to whatever degrees iron needs to be heated to melt. I don't even fucking know that. Don't wake me up first.
All without the use of any modern, you know, utensils. Right?
No textbook to even remind him. Like, you know, it's all off the cuff. And then he knows how to implement it, and it's incredible to see. That's what really caught me at first, before they even got into any backstory, any action. I'm like, okay, wait, holy shit, like he's kind of making something happen here. He's kind of really doing it.
I love things like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is really cool more than anything. And then, you know, he did have his little dumbass friend who I was happy when he got rid of him. He told him stay.
Who, Tenju?
Tenju!
I liked him.
He said, I'm gonna carry everything
like
for
he
you.
said, he knew I liked him because he knew his strengths.
I may not know all the stuff that you do, but I'm gonna bust my back working for us.
He said, I'm gonna help where I can.
He said, you're the brain, Senku. I'm gonna get everything you need. Yo. And then, like, I was hyped when he revived Senku, because I thought that, like, well, not Senku, Tenju, because compared to Senku, Tenju was like beefy and strong, and he called him like his ape friend. Right. But then when you see what the progression of like, oh, you think he's bad? Here's some fucking lions. Like,
and that's how it's like, because I'm like, you know what? Their little pair wasn't broke.
I thought it was so
they should
cute.
not have mashed it up.
It was so cute. But then y'all quickly showed them that they wasn't shit and they need other people.
Exactly.
I thought that like once they got a bitch in the mix, like it was gonna be. I'm not calling him.
Ooh, cause let it be you.
No, like just like I thought that would have rounded them out very nicely. But then you really see that no, like this is not. There's no help. Mm-hmm. There's not animal control. There's not the police.
And you know, brains and human brawn doesn't mean shit against a 1-ton lion.
Oh my god!
Jumping on you.
You need not even a pistol. Like what the fuck? We gonna die, yo.
How did humans do it? We didn't revert back to cavemen just because we woke up. I'm not used to hunting and gathering for my shit. Like, I don't know.
Humans have like no.
I would have laid in my rock casing and just waited for death to come.
But is that not the fucked up thing? You're not dying. Your body has been preserved.
No, I mean after I depetrified, I would have just laid in the remnants of my shell. And I would have just closed my eyes and said I'm still in there.
There's gonna be cracks in the thing, and somebody's gonna be like,
I think he's up.
He's awake. Guy, are you okay?
Get the fuck away from me.
Wait for me with this away. So, last but not least, that you need to know about Dr. Stone is the ethical division. So, this is really the main point that the show is standing on right now. So, Senku was the first human to be revived, and then he started reviving, other people. He revived his best friend. And then him and his best friend got into this hiccup where they were about to get mauled by lions. So they had to make an impromptu decision. Okay, we need somebody who's strong enough to help us here. Mm-hmm. So they end up reviving this guy who goes by the name. Well, not goes by the name. His name is Tsukasa, and he was known as the strongest primate high schooler, which is weird as shit to call somebody. Imagine me going home and telling my mama that they calling me a fucking monkey in school, but neither here nor there. So they revive him. He defeats the lions. And this guy he goes
with the flow for 2 seconds.
He's mad strong.
Yeah, like he's insanely powerful.
Like, because I thought that Tenju was strong when they brought Tenju back, but they said, no. This is strong. Like, it's like he was made to be in a society like this. Like, he's literally, like, has the physique of a caveman and, like, the skills, because they showed like he didn't need Senku to make his clothes for him. Like, he made his own clothes, he made himself weapons. He was good, and I think he was like playing the role for their bodyguard low key before he was like, oh no, what is it that you're doing? So here we have the divide. Senku's plan is to revive everyone in the world who was petrified. Tsukasa says, well, no, because like he stumbles upon a statue of a guy. He's like, I know this guy to be a dickhead, like when we were alive, and he breaks the statue. And Senku says, well, that's murder. So this is where they have this division of like, Senku thinks that everyone should be depetrified. Tsukasa says, well, no, not the assholes. So yikes!
That's where they hit this standoff,
and it's kind of it's interesting because usually you go with the main pro tag and like they usually have the more just or ethical decision making, but I'm like, no, Senku, no, you're completely wrong.
Senku's an idiot.
I completely agree with Tsukasa that you should not revive everyone. You think I'm about to go wake up the fucking KKK? You can tell that this man never had like a hate crime against him, or he just never had certain problems, because the fact that he thinks that he's just gonna go hunky dory and wake up everybody, why would you do that? Tsukasa, I think he was like, he didn't want to wake up anybody over 30.
Oh, I was literally about to say, like, I'm putting an age gap. I forgot that he had said that. Yeah. I was gonna say maybe not 30, but I wasn't hiring anybody. I wasn't reviving anyone over the age of 60 at this point.
He said that he was only gonna revive. I think he said he was only gonna revive teenagers. But. Yeah, like, why would you, all these old jankety people, first of all,
because I feel like even saying 50 or 60 is too old, because we want certain ideals to not come back.
Why would I go into a nursing home and revive somebody? Like, why, like, would they even be able to make it in a world like this? They have to now hunt and gather.
There are no nursing homes.
Well, the remnants of a nursing home. You think I'm about to go stumble across some 70-year-old senile statues or a statue that was in a wheelchair and revive it? And then now I have to take care of it? I was going to say same thing for babies, but like, they would not be able to make it in this world. So that's just like, and I know Senku's like, oh, well, we're going to bring science and do all of this, but how fast are you? Like, he's moving pretty fast with things, but not fast enough that everyone is going to be able to have like the same quality of life or even a decent quality of life in this world.
Not only that, it's just, I don't think that it makes sense. You know what happens when there's our world is overpopulated. All right.
Absolutely.
So you know what happens when there are too many humans, and you see that there are a small little chunk of humans who have survived and carved out their own little piece. Yeah, you want to bring technology. How about you just bring the luxuries? How about you bring the best of the past back? Okay, so I want you to do your science there. I want you to do all that, but I don't want you bringing back old ideals and fucking up the world that was restored over the last 4,000 years, basically. Okay, it took it 4,000 years to get better.
Yeah, it literally.
You're smart enough to know, like you're a genius, buddy. So you know that we don't want everybody back in here. Maybe no. Killing everybody who's not a teenager is stupid. But, like, you have to understand that there's certain people, like, you know, there's lots of politicians. There's lots of people who need to just be broke up for good measure. No batshit shit on you ever. Mash him up.
I was about to say that Tsukasa was wilding for that one. I was just like, leave well enough. Well, okay, if it was something that I knew was clearly like, I'm like, okay, I know I can clearly identify you as like a rapist or like a clan member.
Tip him over.
Oh yeah, bash that shit in. But he was like, anyone who just did not want Senku reviving, like just somebody who was like middle aged, like he was just breaking their statue. I'm like, some people were petrified holding their kids' asshole. So Tsukasa was definitely nuts, and I'm not justifying some of his actions because he was talking all that hot shit. But then the niggas that he revived looked like he went to what used to be the penitentiary and woke them up.
Right.
Because he wanted strong people for his colony or whatever the fuck he wants to call it. So I'm just like, okay, now you fully woke up murderers, and you were talking
like the brutes,
talking all that hot
disgusting
shit. Episode 1 about this man was a tax evader or whatever the fuck that guy did.
He's basically like, if I could be his ass, he could be revived. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, as long as you can't beat my ass, you good. Like, you good, baby. Like, that's what it's looking like because he has no moral compass. That's why I don't know who I'm siding with. Well, you know what? I'm probably gonna side. I don't know. I'm gonna side with Senku for a little bit and maybe steal some of the science technology and go build me a boat. And I'm going to Australia. You guys stay in Japan. And then don't bring your shit to me.
It would have been so great if these two together could have come to like some sort of consensus because they really like Tsukasa's amazing physically and he's handsome. So
handsome anime characters.
I knew what territory I was going to be. But like y'all both had very good points, and like with the 5 people that you revived, y'all already got a war. So what the fuck do you think is going to happen when you revive everybody the fuck else who has a different opinion and wants to throw their opinion in the lot? Huh? What is going to happen then, Senku?
Right. Next up for Dr. Stone, we're going to be doing the characters we fuck with. I'm going to tap Shay in for this one.
Oh, that's okay. I'm prepared. So, for my character I fuck with, Dr. Stone was not really like a serious anime, but we met like a cute handful of people. TBH, I actually hated them all for a very long time. It wasn't until like the halfway point of the anime, like when I feel like it was equivalent to Stockholm Syndrome because I had to keep seeing them. I was like, so they eventually, some of them began to grow on me. So one of the people that I liked, probably one of the people that I could tolerate from the beginning was Kinro, and that's probably because he was one of the more silent characters. So him and his brother are usually a duo. The brother's usually like a slacker, and he likes to like run away from his responsibilities. And Kinro gives me very much Virgo vibes. Like, I don't know what that means. He's just like very like rigid. He likes to do his job. He's always like, he's a rule follower and all of that stuff. So something about him was just very endearing to me. So I like Kinro. And when they gave him those glasses, stud.
Ew. Is that the character you fuck with?
It is.
My character that I fuck with is gonna be Chrome. I mess with him because I don't know. I feel like that's how they said it.
I don't think they rolled the R.
Yeah, they do it a lot. But he's my favorite character because, well, not my favorite character, but the character I'm fucking with right now because he is just the hope that the society had Senku not awoken. You know, we see that when Senku stumbles upon the village and meets him, that he's the village sorcerer. But all sorcerer basically means in olden society is the scientist. So he already collected a lot of the materials and a lot of just different rocks. What is it called? Like, you know, the different elements on the periodic table, like all the different things that you might need that you can find just from exploring out in nature, going in caves, diving, etc. He had already collected like a vast, I don't know, library. I don't think it's called a library, but a collection,
Store,
I guess, store of all these items.
TBH, he had a better collection than Senku. Granted, he was
doing it for over a longer time, but Senku hadn't even thought to find some of the things that he had already found. And he's like, yo, we need to make this. And he's like, holy shit, you already have everything I need to make it. So, he was the hope that they had, because that, humanity, we all learned this shit eventually over time. So him just collecting those rocks and not knowing what they meant, he said he would throw them down and they would produce smoke that's, would eventually lead to the production of fire. And then, exploring, with every question that answered, there's more questions. And I just think, like, had Senku not awoken, he really would have jumped society to where they should have been and probably produced 2 more little scientists. Not where they should have been, like, to the next age, at least. Because
I'm like, oh,
no, I don't think he's here about to build a skyscraper.
Mr. So.
Magic. Sorcery. So.
You think that he was gonna depetrify? He was humanity's hope. But
no, not depetrify nobody. I don't think they gave a fuck about those statues. I don't think they thought anyone actually was like in there. I thought that was like a folktale. They're like, oh, people used to these statues. Okay, mom. But I thought he would have at least advanced their civilization. So that's why I fuck with him. He's pretty cool.
All right, last but not least, we have our Nani ratings. So I can go first on this one. I enjoyed Dr. Stone more so towards the last half of the anime. The first couple of episodes, I was just like, oh, okay. It's like, it's not bad. It's just that it wasn't interesting to me. But as the show progressed, it grabbed my interest. I did enjoy it. One of the drawbacks for this anime for me was actually the cast. Like I said just now, I hated the characters. I especially hated the main character. I hate his catchphrases. Like, every time he says it, it feels like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah, it does.
Yes. What is it that he always says? What is it?
10 billion.
10 billion.
Yeah.
Like, he said, it's 10 billion% that will happen. At first, like, the first couple times he said it, I thought this nigga was actually doing math. But it's
too.
like, no, it's just his catchphase. Shut the fuck up, Senku.
So you're going to put 10 billion% effort into this. It's like,
when he's like, get excited. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, no, and that was very cringy sometimes,
so
too.
Cringy.
Get excited. Get out of my ear.
Literally, quite literally. So, like, now that the show has ended, everyone else has grown on me. Senku has become more tolerable, but as far as main protagonist goes, I could not care less for him. But again, being said, I love the way that this anime was depicted. Like, I like seeing him make things, like when he made the ramen. I felt like I was watching Food Network.
Yeah, it was cool.
When he's building the light bulbs and stuff, I can't follow what the fuck they're doing. Mm-hmm. I don't know the periodic table like the back of my hand, so I can't, like, when you say certain things, I'm like, when you mix this and this, you get this. I'm like, yeah, sure. But it was interesting to watch. I love things like that. Oh, you know why I really liked it? I almost forgot. One of the reasons I really liked Dr. Stone was because it was like watching an RPG game, and I love RPG games.
Oh, really?
Yes, I love games like that.
Minecraft?
Well, not Minecraft. No, I've never played it, but it looks dumb. But I love games like that. Like the Nintendo Switch has
shit.
one that people have went apeshit about. With the little
Animal Crossing.
Oh my god, I haven't played it, but like with listening to people explain how it works, I'm like, I would love a game where I was an indentured servant to a raccoon, where you have to like build your island and like collect you have to go chop down trees and get apples.
That's your ideal game.
Oh my god, I fucking love a RPG game. And like when you start from like, I have to try not to buy those games when I see them pop up, like where you have to like build your society, like the games where you have to progress. There's literally a game like that where you have to progress through time. Like
There's mad games like that.
And oh my god, I do not download them because I will make in-app purchases, and I refuse to make in-app purchases. Right. But that's what I think really took me for, like, with Dr. Stone, like the similarities between, I was like watching an RPG game for free. So I'm gonna give Dr. Stone a 7. For what it is, it's a 7. It was entertaining, and it definitely got better as the show progressed, and that progression made me excited for season 2. I'm really excited. I'm glad they didn't do the battle in season 1, because I think now they can stretch it out a little bit more like a proper war, and I'm really interested to see how both sides are gonna act with that. So I'm very much invested in Dr. Stone.
Nice. For me, Dr. Stone started well. I've always been into like the science, not the science necessarily, but I've always been into like watching, I don't know, educational programming. Like
Nerd alert!
I enjoyed when I would come home from school, I
PBS
would put on
Kids?
like Liberty Kids on PBS Kids. No, literally, like Liberty Kids would be on there, and they would go in the past to different like historic societies. Like they would have these cool adventures, and you'd be learning. So I have always enjoyed that aspect. I like when shows can incorporate it. They just have to incorporate it in a really cool way. And so, like I said earlier, like I really enjoyed when he was going through the different ages. Like, you know, we're in the Stone Age, and now we're entering the Iron Age, and now we're entering the Energy Age. And I'm like, yo, this shit is like fucking cool because he's dead ass doing it. Like, this is real life ingredients. If the world had returned back to normal, the rocks were able to settle where they were supposed to settle, and, you know, caves weren't mined to their ass of all their goods. Like, you know, this is what could actually happen. And so it really caught me. I thought that was really cool. I think it got very, very drawn out after that. I think once I got over how cool all that was, once I got over how cool the things he was doing, I said, okay, cool. Now you're actually facing a crisis. You know, now Tsukasa, Mr. Take Down 3 lions in one blow, is now your enemy. And he already tried to kill you. You've successfully infiltrated this village. Now let's start building our own little military, you know? And like, I felt like the progress on that was slow. And that kind of deterred me from the show. It kind of deterred me from the show for a long while. But ultimately, it was a really, really cool show. So I think I'm going to put them at a 6.
Ooh.
I'm giving them a 6 because I think season 2 is going to jump them probably into more of like an 8 territory because there's a lot of anticipation for this season that's coming, and I am interested in it. The concept is still super dope. I still enjoy watching, but one, I do not like Senku. I do not agree with people like that. Like, coming from a very real life perspective right now, I'm just like, I fully would have been like, yo, Tsukasa, kill him. Like, you know, chop him harder. Like, chop him twice. Don't give him no quiet death. Like, people like that are dangerous. People like that who are so, like, smart but ignorant to certain things. Like, you know, oh, that's just human nature. It's above me. My job is only the science of it. Yeah. It's like,
he doesn't
people
think
like
about
that are dangerous. The repercussions.
Yes,
or
literally.
what could happen after the science is done. And it's just human nature running around. Science isn't necessarily nature all the time, you know? There's certain things that, like, can be proven, but human nature... we're fucking disgusting. Because
he's a scientist, like, he thinks that, like, he doesn't have to think about the ethics.
There's, like, a certain disconnect. Like, it's like doctors. There's, like, a certain disconnect.
Don't care about the ethics of something. Like, they don't care. They literally, like, any zombie movie, not any zombie movie, but most zombie movies start with scientists dicking around with something that they shouldn't be dicking around with. Like, that's literally how I, like...
And it's like, we're not ready for human trials. I'm gonna do it! Hey, the rats are going rabid.
Yeah, let me experiment on this monkey, and now I got monkey blood in my eye. Like... that's literally how one of the, like, a zombie movie has. I forgot what it was called, but that's how they start, because y'all just don't give a shit to think about whether or not something should be done. Like, they always think about, can I do it, not should I do it.
Exactly. So, and the fact that I don't like this series protagonist, I think at least dropped at one point, because I really don't like him.
I don't like him either.
I'm like, you know, like, that's not
the cringy
cool.
Catchphrases, the blatant disregard for, like...
Because I've been asked that question, like, you know, not maybe in an apocalypse like this, but like, you guys crash land on an island, like, what are you going to do? I said, I don't think I want to stay with the group if it's going to be some random dude trying to take charge, and like, it's going to be whatever you say. It's like, if we're not going to be working as a unit off rip, where it's like, okay, you know what? How about we revive 25% of the population? You know?
That's another thing that just doesn't make fucking sense, because, like, again, like you said, the world was overpopulated, and yeah, some of the statues would have been destroyed over time, like, from, like, wherever they laid, or, like, maybe animals fucking around with it, but that's still a lot of people to bring back, and you would just be back where you were, and you're thinking about, yes, all the progressions human made, but you're not thinking about all the destruction.
Exactly.
He only thinks about the positive things.
Got the mom shades on. I don't see it.
I'm hoping that this battle with Tsukasa, like, opens his eyes and makes him more realistic on certain things. Because, like, BB...
you caused this.
What is it in the ocean that's, like, changing colors? Like, the kelp is dying or something? The coral. The coral reef has been slaughtered. Like,
yeah, that's gone. It's like there's changing algae in certain waters that give its
so
hue.
many
like,
animals are extinct, not because they needed to be, but just because of, like, human interference. Exactly. But Elijah, I have a question for you. You have 10 seconds to answer.
Oh no.
You're stuck on a deserted island. What are 3 things you're bringing with you?
I am bringing
10, 9, 8.
I'm bringing some rope,
7,
a knife, and porn. I don't know.
Okay, because I was thinking like for the petrification, I'm like, dang, if I could come back and like I could have 3 things, what would I want?
Oh, good. If it's petrification, I come back. I would be glad to have that porn. I'm like, porn's kind of stupid, but you know what?
So porn, a knife, and rope.
Yes, and I guess it would have to be a porn
pretty good.
magazine. I think.
Oh, imagine if you got
down.
a DVD. Oh my god!
And I'm just holding the disc with a picture of like a naked person on it.
Oh my god! And the nipple should be right over where the hole is in the middle.
I'll never see a nipple again. Like, yeah, no, that's a good thing. A rope, a knife,
and a nudie mag.
And a nudie mag. You know, work hard in the day with my rope and my knife. At the end of a long day.
I'm freaking weak. Oh my god!
Hey, it ain't easy to rebuild the society, all right? All right, guys, and before we go today, me and Shay are going to be introducing a new running segment that we're going to be putting at the end of each episode, which is going to be us posing a question to you. We have posted a couple questions on our social media at Official Nani Network, asking you guys various things like, you know, Boruto versus Gohan, which villain do you empathize with? And we've gotten some cool responses, so now we think it'd be really cool to pose you one at the end of each episode and check those responses out online and see if we could get a real cool interactive discussion going with you guys. Any really cool responses might get a shout out and a mention at the following episode. So today's question is going to be, if you could have 3 things waiting for you after you got depetrified, what would they be? So go ahead and head over to @Official Nani Network, where we'll have this question posted, and comment and let us know what your answer is. Thank you guys for listening. As usual, don't be afraid to rate, subscribe, and comment. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Later.
Bye.